I am back with another YouTube video. This time we're going to be doing a tier list on The Office. I have my friend Colby here. Say hi, Colby.
Hello.
We're going to be going season by season here. So we are going to be ranking episode 1. This is going to be done in absolute terms. So we're not going to be comparing an season 3, season 4 episode to a season 1 episode per se. They each have their own merit per season. So Colby is going to be our Office expert today. He is the pro. So why don't we go through, just explain the tier levels real quick. So S tier, that's going to be the goated episodes, ones you just watch over and over again. A tier, solid episode, missing a little something to get into the S tier, still great. B tier, good episode, solid, not the best. C tier, take it or leave it. There's good stuff, there's bad stuff. D tier, bad episode. I mean, it's not the worst, but it's not a good episode. And F tier, of course, it's trash. Don't even watch it over again. But don't foresee having too many of those, right, Cole?
Yeah, no, definitely not. Not in The Office in general. Surprisingly, though, the first season's a little bit less quality, I'd say, than others. But even still, less Fs than a normal show you'd see.
Good stuff, good stuff. All right, and as always, please like and subscribe the video. It really helps out a lot, guys. And we're going to let Colby carry this one. So I know he's got some notes on the episode. So let's get started with episode 1, The Office, an American Workplace. What do you think of this one, Colby?
This one's an interesting one overall. It's got a lot of work to do in terms of setting up the characters. It's kind of like your basic pilot episode to a sitcom. So it's a little bit hard to judge in comparison to a lot of the other episodes, especially in the series, but especially in this season as well, because it just has a lot more work to do. You don't know any of these characters. You're just kind of sort of getting used to it in a pretty different kind of style that this TV show is set in. I don't know how many TV shows I've seen before The Office that are set in this kind of documentary style.
Were they like the pioneers of this kind of style? Like the video documentary thing? Because I feel like a lot of people built off of that.
It's a good, because you've seen it a lot afterwards, but I don't know that I've seen it really beforehand. And if they weren't the pioneer, they're on the front tier of that. So
we got to remember it was based off the British version, which I've never seen.
So yeah, the British version would be a good analog to that. The British version, personally speaking, to get my opinion of that, sucks ass. Not good.
F tier through the whole thing, huh?
Yeah, I don't want to get too mean. Everybody looks weird. The jokes are bad. It looks disgusting. It's all drawn in, and it's like
bad teeth or
basically everybody smells bad. They eat terrible food because they're in Britain. Everybody's having beans on toast. It's just not. I don't know. It's just not good. The character, especially once you've seen this Office, it pales in comparison.
You can't compare to Steve Carell. I mean, you really can't.
As funny as Ricky Gervais is on his own, it's just it's not there. It's not, and it's so much shorter and truncated. It's a very weird season in itself. But if I'm looking at just this episode of The Office in the first season, the first episode, I think it does a pretty good job of setting up things in a way. It's not a bad episode. It kind of hooks you in. There's a lot of fun stuff going on, but overall, I think it's a solid episode. We can go a little bit deeper into it. I think there's a lot of good about it, but there's also a lot of cringe. There's a lot of awkwardness that you're not 100% sure of, and once you see the show go along, you see the characters kind of grow into themselves.
You get to know them a bit,
and so all this stuff makes a little bit more sense to where maybe it's a little bit off-putting on a first view. You're like, what the hell is going on? Who are these people? Why are they so weird? Like, what's the premise of this show? But I think it starts off pretty well with a couple pretty good jokes. We have Michael Scott talking on the phone to somebody, has a super awkward moment, calls a man a woman. He says, the other way around. Yeah. He calls somebody a gentleman and a scholar, and then you see right on his face the person responds, goes, and you can tell he goes, oh God, I'm sorry about that. That was a woman, my bad.
Yeah, doesn't he go, who does he go to Pam? He's like, I did not know that was a woman.
Yeah, goes right to Pam afterwards. Did not know that was a woman. And it just kind of shows you Michael Scott right off the bat, kind of like
get ready for awkward. That's through and through.
Exactly what we're gonna be. That's what we're gonna be geared for here going forward. So it does show you a little bit about him and shows you going forward here. And then right after that, you go into a great joke where he walks out, kind of introduces some people in the office. You kind of have like a tracking shot through the office itself. you're looking around, seeing everybody. He shows up. He shows Pam at the reception. Classic Pam. Everybody knows Pam. And he says, he goes, "Here's Pam. You think she's cute now? Should have seen her a couple years ago."
We've got hot Pam in the beginning.
Yeah,
That's what hot Pam.
But I guess she was hotter even a couple years ago.
I would have loved to have seen that then, I guess.
Super awkward. Right out the gate. Michael establishing himself as like a lovable weirdo, I guess, a lovable creepy weirdo. He's kind of feeling himself in that scene. He's kind of running around. You can tell he's loving having the cameras on him and being able to explain his menial, boring ass job to everybody.
Those are some of the best moments though, when he just monologues like in the office or by that little wall shot in the conference room.
Yeah.
When he just goes off and then that's really.
And you're just like, what the hell is he talking about? You're just a little bit like, what the hell is he talking about? It's a little bit tough though. You're seeing him establish himself, but he's really establishing himself because it's tough to look at him pre-hair plugs.
Yeah, I saw a YouTube video the other day. I didn't actually watch it. It's like, why does Michael Scott look so different in season 1? And I'm like, you know what? He does look weird, and it's tough to look at. I didn't know what it was.
They should have just started filming 6 months later. It has that early season look to it that every sitcom had back in the like if you look at all this, like the first season always looks so much different than the second season and on once they get a better budget. But
yeah.
Even though if only I'm sure he wishes that they filmed this just 6 months later because his hairline is receding. He looks like a different guy than he does. Somehow he's aged. He somehow ages. He's 7 years older by the end of the show, but he looks 10 times better by the end of the show. Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, he gets a couple years younger in season 2 immediately.
But
somehow.
I will say, good for him. Good for him.
Hey, I mean, I went through it. I mean, guys out there, I mean, it depends on how far gone you are. I think it's totally worth it, man. Send it.
This could be an example for you guys. If you are experiencing Michael Scott episode 1 through 3 of The Office, you can change it, fellas.
Yeah, don't feel bad. Freaking Michael Scott needed some hair, man.
And now look at him. He's an icon, man. He's an icon. Still looking good at whatever age, 65 or something like that. He's got
to be up there by now, right?
Yeah, I think so. He's probably
I'm gonna look that up real quick.
We have so much introductions into this episode, like Jan. We get to see Jan in her inception. She's very serious. She's very new. What do we got?
You're really close. He's 62 years old.
Solid. Wow.
Look at him.
1 year older than. And yeah, and he's a fox.
The hair's still looking good though.
He's
it's graying. It's looking good though.
He's a silver fox now, and imagine what he'd look like if he didn't get those hair plugs.
He wouldn't have Holly.
What the hell?
He wouldn't have Holly.
15 years ago at this point, man. So you can save your life, fellas. You can save your life. But Jan comes in, to lay down the business on Mike, because that's all she's really doing in these first
non-psycho Jan
2.5 or the first season and a half. She's really just busting his balls all the time, because he's a horrible employee.
I mean, she does that later on too.
She busts his balls in a different way. You're definitely right about that. It is funny to see super serious Jan before she turns into a psychopath.
Seeing it for the first time is crazy because now we know what's gonna happen, but it's like, oh, okay, this is a very astute, serious businesswoman, and then she just goes off.
Yeah, you're like, oh god, she's so.
It really starts with the sandals. I feel like that's when it really.
100%. Yeah. As soon as they want to, I might argue, Chili's. No, it has to be Chili's.
I mean, she was drinking, but I think that's the first
they went
warning
home
sign.
Together. They went home together. That was.
But they didn't have sex though. Remember, they didn't.
That's true. That's true.
She just got divorced. I think you're valid. Your argument's good.
Could be either. I'd say.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Let's get back to episode 1, pilot.
Once we get to season 2 or 3, we'll get there.
I'm so excited for the 3.
So we're just progressing along, kind of meeting all these characters. Jan tells everybody that she tells Michael and Pam in a meeting that there's a possibility of downsizing in the office, which is kind of
the downsizing underlying theme.
It's a pretty underlying thing. It kind of, and it almost goes throughout almost the whole entire series. It comes back, it crops up because it's a struggling business in a struggling market environment. So, we start off with having this conflict of possibly needing to let go of people, cut costs, things like that.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And it just kind of keeps coming back, and it drives a lot of conflict between the characters, and it drives a lot of anxiety. It makes a lot of things happen. And Michael tries to throw Pam under the bus for shredding a
Oh,
piece
the
of
special, what is
Yeah.
it, special bin or pile
Yeah.
or folder?
Jan sends Michael something. Pam tries to give it to Michael. Michael goes, yeah, we put that in the special corporate filing cabinet, which is the garbage can. Chucks it in there. Jan comes into the office. She asks Michael what his thoughts are on said piece of paperwork, and he tries to throw Pam under the bus. Interestingly enough, kind of shows a lot about Michael right there. He goes, oh yeah, Pam, why didn't you give me that piece of paper? But then Pam, love Pam in this moment, she undercuts him right there and says, oh, Michael, I think actually, you told me to throw that. And so she just gets cut off.
He just vamps over her. He's like,
vamps.
nope.
And Jan's obviously pissed, but yeah, no. Then
She lets it go.
Yeah, she
It's
just lets
just
it go.
whatever.
That's what Jan does, I guess.
She wants to smash. I mean, the underlying.
Maybe it's clear from the start, I guess.
I think
There's
that's
no way
what
he
it
should
is.
have a job at that point.
We'll talk about the firings moving
Yeah.
forward.
There's a lot of little good scenes in between there. Some funny jokes.
Yeah, what do we got?
There's a couple good ones. I don't understand why Michael does the Running Man thing. I don't quite
Oh,
understand
do the sound
reference
effect. You
to
did it earlier. It's so good.
when
So good.
he moves his arms like that. Don't understand the reference. I hope maybe some of you do if you're older than us.
Is he like $6 million man or something?
yeah, and
or-
he mentions that
That can't be
he's
right.
like the $6 million man. I actually don't even know what that is.
Isn't it?
Never heard of that. Thinking like $1 Million Baby. But
They do
that's-
reference that in a later series.
Yeah, that's true.
or episode.
That's actually true. And he makes a joke that I deserve $6 million salary, don't I, Pam? He's like I should get a raise.
Oh no, it's real.
Oh yeah.
The $6 Million Man, 1973. It's a sci-fi Steve Austin movie about an astronaut seriously injured and a spaceship crashes. Handsome and athletic. Okay, that's an opinion.
Okay, that's why Michael wants to be that guy.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, there you go. I didn't even know that.
That's a very specific number.
I thought it was gonna be $1 Million Man. I feel like that sounds
6
better.
million, like that's very specific. But
I'll take it though. I mean,
You
I'll
know.
take money.
better than 6 is better than 1, right?
Well, it depends what you're talking about. It depends what you're talking about.
Fair, but I feel like most cases, we'll take the 6. We'll take the 6. But right after that, God, what happened? Otherwise, there's some good jokes in this episode. There's little interspersed all about, I'd say. There's not a whole ton of overarching theme on this one. There's not a whole overarching narrative. You're just kind of getting to know the characters a lot, really, here. We're just learning a lot about them and the dynamics between them. And we're setting up a lot of the dynamics that last into the show going forward, which it's a good thing because a lot of these dynamics get fleshed out in a really cool and funny way.
Okay, so where do we think this one's gonna land? It's the first one. I give it props for being the first one. It's not gonna be A or S tier because you got to get to know people. It's gotta do some heavy lifting. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Overall, you bring a good aspect that we can't just judge it. We have to judge it within the fact that it's a pilot of a show and it has a lot more work to do. And so I think overall it's a good episode. Not great, not bad. I wouldn't even call it mediocre. If I'm gonna place it somewhere, I think it's gonna be somewhere in the C tier range.
I can get on board with that. I think it's a solid C tier episode. I'd agree with that.
Agreed.
It's got heavy work to do.
It's got a lot of work to do, but we have a lot of better episodes going forward. Here.
Speaking of better episodes, we start off hot with Diversity Day as the second episode. You're in now. The toe is dipped in. My God, the amount of firings that would have happened in this is insane. Michael would have been cooked. It is. It's tough to watch this one, honestly, for me. I mean, I love it to death, but
It's a cringe fest. It's a cringe fest, but in a good way. It's cringy comedy, but good. If you don't like cringy comedy, then you're probably not watching this video in the first place because you're probably not watching The Office.
I mean, we are cringe also. So
We are cringe as well, so that's probably you would love this video for that. So, Diversity Days is a great episode. I'll just say that right off the bat. It's got a lot going for it. It's still one of those earlier episodes, so you have to kind of...
You don't know what's going on. You
Yeah,
don't know how far they're going to go.
It's pretty wild that in the second episode, the first episode was a little tame. There wasn't there wasn't anything super
No
offensive
fireable
or
offenses,
anything.
I don't think.
And then we just go right into Diversity Day.
And this aired a while ago. I am surprised. What did The Office start on? What was it broadcast on? I don't even know.
God, that was TBS, I think.
It must have been,
It was,
right?
which did help because TBS
They're edgier.
is definitely edgier. It was a little bit more lax on the rules. That's where like Practical Jokers and shit like that.
Yeah, them and HBO were
They have
the pioneers.
they had lesser censorship rules. I remember like you're able to swear more and stuff like that. So
It's like when you were a kid, when you got to stay up late. At least me, you got to see Adult Swim or something. It was like that was a big deal, man. They were saying big boy words
I was
on
like,
that.
I remember watching Impractical Jokers and being like, how are they allowed to say shit on this? I'm like, this is nuts.
Oh, I remember you were saying, we talked about the episode a little bit earlier. You didn't even know what that blurred out word meant earlier.
Oh,
When
yeah.
they were referencing a certain racial
Yeah.
group. That was, yeah, I can't believe it. Michael was just screaming the Chris Rock impression. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll let Cole talk about the jokes.
Yeah, okay, we'll get to that one a little bit later. That one is absolutely insane. I just want to like right off the bat. Well, it starts off pretty good with a good cold open where Dwight is shredding a bunch of things right next to Jim's desk. It's so hilarious because it's just a loud ass shredder, and Jim in a flippant way asks him, is that something you really need to do right now, Dwight? And Dwight deadpan looks at him, says, well, yes, I actually do need to do it right now. I actually needed to do it a few weeks ago. So, and so it's just that classic
so
between
weird.
Jim and Dwight. You're just like, what does that even mean? Why are you doing it? Like they're just assholes to each other.
It
and
really
Dwight's
establishes the
awkwardness,
rivalry.
It really does, and it's like that little weirdness between Dwight, the way that they get on each other's nerves. Dwight then retaliates at Jim after Jim unplugs the shredder. And
Doesn't he like hang up the phone call? He's
hangs
on at
up,
some
yeah,
point.
he hangs up the phone call, and by justifying that, he's saying that it was tit for tit.
Tit for tit. Yep.
That's not a term that anybody uses. Tit for tat for sure, but I like bringing.
They
that up.
edited it pretty good. They
I like
changed
having
it
that
up.
come in. I like having that come in. Didn't see that coming. Dwight, an absolute freak, that he thinks that that's what it is.
That's one of my favorite things. Is their back and forth between Jim and Dwight. I love the prank wars and stuff, and like the Jello and the stapler calculator, whatever it was.
It's like one of the staples of the show, man. It's fantastic. It's like that. Like
That's what you
grounds
think
the
of.
Show.
Yeah.
Mhm, exactly. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. But like the whole premise of the show is that they're having a diversity training specialist come in so that they can teach everybody in a sort of seminar. We're not exactly sure why at the beginning of the episode that but this man is just coming in. It's important to the episode. He's a black man. He comes in.
Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown, classic. He comes in and starts giving everybody a diversity
Standard
speech.
office stuff.
Exactly. You've probably had something similar if you've worked in an office, something like that. Cultural sensitivity training, I think, is what the specific term
Even
for
the term.
it is.
It's gonna be boring as heck.
And this guy's trying to drive this meeting, but Michael, being the person that he is, he's trying to butt in every single place he can. He wanted to run it from the start. He comes in, everything the guy's trying to say, Michael's like, oh yeah, but what about this? He's like copying him, and he's trying to get into an exercise, but then Michael says, hold up, I got an idea. How about everybody says what race they're most attracted to? And boom, right away, Dwight puts up his hand, says Indian, sitting right next to Kelly Kapoor, the Indian person in the office. Pretty wild. That's like one of those moments I feel like that's shocking right off the bat. You're like, okay. We're like, okay, we're this is this kind of show. This is this kind of show. I see.
I like he was just so eager to just jump into it.
Dwight was really
He was the
excited.
only one.
Dwight was super excited. So that was a wild part of the episode, and then
I feel like there's a little continuity error with that though. Like they don't ever play into that again with Dwight being attracted to Indians like that.
you would think he would have went for Kelly at some point, right?
Maybe.
You would have think he would have went for Kelly, but then
Well, this is before, like we talked about earlier. I'm gonna steal your joke. Before she kind of ballooned a little bit. This was because we're talking about like you see Daryl down there, you see Stanley, like everyone's skinnier than what they've been because they gained some weight, and then Kelly, she changes a fair bit. I was saying her demeanor is different. She's a little mellow.
Later on too.
She's quieter.
She's so annoying in the later seasons. It's like a different character in the first one. So yeah, I could definitely see that now that you say that. But it's just like he's interested in Indians.
Ryan does date her for a while too, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that'll sully person for you.
Angela came in pretty early too. We find out because when Jim and Pam talk about it, she's like,
Oh,
"Oh yeah, they've
yeah.
been dating for like 2.5 years," and he's like, "Oh, they were dating for 6 months." She's like, "Oh no, they were dating for like ever, dude."
But they're probably dating in here then.
They were dating a lot. I
Oh.
think I don't know where to exactly put it, but somewhere I feel like late to mid season 1. I think it is.
Yeah.
It might not start off.
Yeah, probably because like I mean you have to just assumption wise it's like season it's like a year.
It could be
like a year or something like that's just like my general assumption on seasons and shows. But
Yep.
that like so it's just we're already flying with that. Dwight makes the Indian joke super bad. But then like right afterwards, Michael gets cut off because we find out that we are, because obviously Mr. Brown is not interested in a conversation about who everybody's attracted to sexually.
Inappropriate.
In the cultural
Toby's nowhere to
sensitivity.
be seen.
Toby, our HR guy, is just gone, which is interesting. You would think he might be the guy who gives that speech, but we find out that the reason that we're here is for Michael did a Chris Rock impression of a bit.
My God.
And
He does it again. He does it again.
You find
He's not
that
doing
out.
it right. He's not doing it.
Yeah, so they end up having to recreate that. It's an interesting exercise by Mr. Brown to recreate the inciting incident that
Who
caused
was it?
him.
It was
He
Dwight
has-
and
He has Kevin be the
the Chris
the
Rock
Chris Rock
impression,
guy.
the black guy.
and he starts going on. He just starts, he has like a monotone sort of tone, and he's just repeating
Yeah.
whatever Michael said, whatever time in the office ago that created this incident. Somebody must have reported him for saying
The joke wasn't too bad either. I feel like either. It was Chris Rock's pretty funny.
It was actually I'm sure it would be a solid bit if you saw it in a Chris Rock special, but Michael giving it in the full accent is tough. So Kevin starts trying to do it. He's acting, and then Michael's he's just the whole time belittling him, saying, "Oh, he's butchering it. He's doing a terrible job." He's like, it's not even gonna work if you don't deliver it right. So Michael just comes right in, basically does the whole monologue again. The whole
No hard R, I think, in this one at least.
no hard R. Me, it probably was.
I think just the
soft day.
flashback. I don't know.
It probably
I don't
was a
remember.
soft day. Probably was a soft day. If thinking if you're Chris Rock saying that,
Yeah.
it probably was a soft day. He just starts going off.
You have a
So that ends pretty horribly with Michael going on a pretty racist tirade. That isn't meant to be a racist tirade, but it is. And then Mr. Brown leaves. Michael says, "Scrap it. This guy wasn't for us. Obviously, I'm the one that's qualified to be doing this, even though he's the one that they're informing on." And so he holds his own diversity.
Oh, before you get into the diversity meeting, I just love how slick he is with it. He's just like, it's like, I'm gonna sign it. It's gonna sign it. And I don't remember exactly what he says, but it's like, I pledge to be better and to be conscious of this. Signed, Daffy Duck. How did he not look at it? I mean, you've seen Michael in action. I mean, I guess he doesn't care. Like,
He's
whatever.
such an asshole, kind of. He's kind of such an asshole in specific parts, especially this one.
Yeah.
And so he starts his own cultural sensitivity meeting, and he
More
starts
like
it off.
cultural insensitivity.
It is
I'll tell you.
It's actually wild, but a pretty impactful part at the beginning. He puts on just a video of him looking at the camera to sort of start it off, and he goes, "Abraham Lincoln once said, 'If you are racist, I will attack you with the North.'" And that's it. That's the video. That's actually just a video. And he said that took him an hour.
Back then, it probably would. With like
makes no
VHS, and it probably might have taken an hour.
No sense
know.
whatsoever. I don't know what he's thinking there, but that was it was a good intro to the seminar. And then we get through to that. Afterwards, he then devises a game to where everybody puts a card. Like, what's that game called?
Headbands.
Headbands. It's like headband, but you have.
You know it's bad because Ellen did it. You know it must be bad. It's gotta be bad.
That's why I don't dance either, bro. That's why I don't fucking dance.
Fair enough,
No
man.
fucking way. Everybody has a headband on that has a given race.
Yeah, you have to guess the race.
You have to-
but you have to talk and act as that race.
You're-
to know.
You're talking to the person and treating them as the race that's on their forehead,
Right.
And that person then therefore has to guess, and that has some wild moments in it, absolutely wild moments.
Yeah, you got. I like Kevin's the best personally. Because he's with Angela, of course, who's just the prudest prude that there is, and then she's Jamaican. He's like, I just know at one point he's like, "You want to get high?" And she's like, "No." I think you do, man. I think you do.
Ooh, man. And then, it's pretty clear what she is at that point.
And then you got Dwight. Do you want to do Dwight's? That is that's a classic quote.
Yeah, at one point Dwight is talking to, God, I think it's Pam.
Who is it?
I
it is
believe
Pam. Yeah, it's Pam.
And she has Asian.
If I have to.
She has Asian on her head. She clearly doesn't want to participate in this game. And she goes, Michael's kind of...
You got it backwards. Dwight has Asian on his head, and she's describing...
You're right.
Yep, go ahead, though.
You're right. Yep, I forgot how that goes. But either way, she didn't want to really play into the game and do any racist stereotypes. And Dwight's like, come on, what am I? He's like, come on, let's do this. He's like, let's play the game. And she goes, well, if I have to, certain people might say that you might not be good at driving. And Dwight cuts in, oh, man, am I a woman?
Oh, man. I love the way Ryan Wilson does this. It's fantastic.
I believe the scene, it cuts right after that, so you're just left in
I think
shock.
It does cut. I think it does.
At one point, he goes up to somebody's Jewish, somebody has Jewish on their forehead, and he goes up and says, hello, I'd like to apply for a loan. It's just unbelievable. You can tell they're like, all bets are off with this stuff. It's absolutely fantastic. And then...
You have the nuclear scene. So Kelly leaves the meeting, right? I think she's there for the very beginning, but isn't involved. She's like, hey, I've got like a customer service thing. I got to do a meeting. And then it's a little weird. It's like, what's it called? Like it puts you off guard because she comes to the door after all this has happened. And then Michael's like, oh, hey, how'd it go? And she's like, oh, it went really good. It was great. And then he just goes into like I don't know even how. He goes into like Apu from The Simpsons. He's like, hey, you want a cookie? It's like, wait, then she just slaps the shit out of him.
My cookie store, my convenience store.
My convenience store?
Would you like a cookie? My cookie. And my cookie.
I don't even know where that comes from, man. I didn't watch The Simpsons.
It's pretty wild. He was getting upset that people weren't really playing into the racist game enough, so he had to take it.
She had no idea.
He had to take it all the way to the top as soon as the Indian person walked in the room who had no idea that the game was going on. So he goes on basically another racist tirade, says all this, and she obviously takes it poorly and slaps him, right?
Oh yeah. And then storms off. It's
storms off.
Silent room.
And I believe that's the end of the episode.
Is it?
I
feel like Michael might say something.
Nothing of substance happens after that.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's fantastic.
I love the episode.
How is Michael not fired? I don't know.
Fire count at least one time. We'll just say once per episode, maybe, unless it's dramatic. He's cooked.
The show realistically could have ended there because they would have had to hire a new boss, and so that's pretty funny. Where would you rank this one?
There's an argument for S tier, but
I'd say so. There is an argument. You could have the argument.
I'm thinking a strong A tier.
Given some of the other episodes that are on this, I think I want to go A tier as well.
Yeah, we'll keep it as a strong A tier because again, we're going by season for right now. I mean, if there's like a lot of argument in the comments, maybe we can do in relative terms to others, but that brings in a lot of comparison. I think it's just too tough.
Exactly.
But yeah, we're gonna cool off. We're cooling down. We're gonna go to healthcare. It's got its moments. I think Colby and I disagree a little bit on this one. Yeah, but what do you think of healthcare? What's going on?
I mean, I guess you're right. It does have its moments. I think overall it's I'm okay with it.
It's very neutral episode.
There's a couple things I hate about it, but it's not one I'm ever gonna go rewatch again unless I'm doing a full rewatch.
It's a heavy Dwight episode, which if Michael's not in it as much, it immediately weakens the episode.
100%.
No matter what.
That's why the later seasons are rougher compared to the every season with him in it.
It ends when Steve Carell leaves, in my opinion. It basically ends. I mean,
that's the general consensus of Office fans, I think. But like the main premise of this one is Michael needs to pick a new healthcare plan. They're facing possible downsizing. Jan wants him to cut costs, and they're coming up to a new plan year, so they need to switch their health insurance plans. He was supposed to do some work on it. He obviously didn't. Went by the time Jan showed up.
He hates the responsibility.
He hates having to actually do something, and Jan, needs him to make a decision like that day. Yeah. Something like that.
He waits to the end. He's had time to do
last second. Basically how he does with everything. He waits till the last second. Jan gets mad at him. He needs to pick one and cut costs. Pick a plan, and then pick the cheapest one. He, obviously, like Michael does, he shirks that responsibility and gives it to Dwight,
He delegates it to the assistant to the regional
the
manager.
assistant to the regional manager. And is that the first mention of that in this episode?
I don't even know if they mention it in this episode. I'm just kind of vamping with that.
I think he might, because he's like, oh, I am the assistant regional manager, assistant to the regional manager. As the first time I think that distinction gets made.
Quick sidebar on that. I'm watching. I'm doing this because I'm doing a rewatch. I'm pretty deep into it. I was just watching. What's the Ryan gets replaced as the guy from the Steelworks. Was it like Minor or something? What's that guy's name? It's the black guy replaces him. He goes to visit him in the office, and then Michael just does not like this guy. And then Jim, he's dressed in the tux. He's just like, he's got like a whole bad first impression. Jim does.
Oh,
and then he's
Idris
just like
Elba guy. Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's like, Jim's just like, hey, I am like assistant regional manager, and then then his boss is just like, oh, is that like official title? Is there a pay raise? Is there responsibility? And then he basically is Dwight. Jim is Dwight, and he kind of just cooks him there. But I digress. I just wanted, that's a funny comparison.
It was awkward, yeah. That is funny, actually. Jim was in it, and he was bumbling just like he was.
Jim fumbles
flirting
a
with
lot.
Pam in this season.
Yeah, Roy is very much still being a jerk and still around and engaged to Pam, but we'll get to that.
Peak Roy here. We got peak Roy and Pam. Unfortunately, it's good when we get him out of here. But yeah, so that's just the premise of this episode. Dwight takes any bit of power that Michael gives him and runs with it. Of course,
Power trips.
he's somehow very excited about giving that power to choose the healthcare plan, and he takes the conference room over and acts as that's his own office and thinks that grants him some sort of
you're right. I think they do
some
reference
sort of
it then.
status within the company, which absolutely
It's
makes
not
no
your
sense.
office.
And what he does right away is he just starts slashing costs, gives a terrible plan to everybody.
Bones.
Everybody gets upset about it. He makes a funny joke when Pam and Jim confront him about why he chose a horrible plan.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, they mention that, well, Dwight, this is like for you too, so why are you picking such a bad plan? Like, you get health insurance from here as well. And Dwight mentions that, and this is a great piece for Dwight. It just shows, and it just continues on. He just mentions that, oh yeah, I don't need health insurance because I never get sick. He's like, I actually never get sick. And he mentions that he can regulate his body in a number of ways, like his temperature. And he mentions to Pam and Jim that he can raise and lower his blood pressure. To which Pam then says, why would you want to raise your blood pressure? And Dwight goes, well, so I can lower it. And
like, what?
That's just Dwight. It makes no fucking sense.
He later, it's perfect I'm deep in the season because I brought this up before. He later, in the blood drive episode, which pretty good episode also, but he's out there. I don't know how I think it's just a side thing comes up. He talks about how he can invert his penis on command. It's just like, what the hell, man? Like, also, that's physically impossible. You cannot do that. If there's anyone out there, please do not tell me about it in the comments. I don't want to know.
Dwight is some sort of mythical being, I think, so I wouldn't put it past him.
It's all willpower, I guess.
He doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know that he's from this corporeal world, so I don't know how a human like that would exist even in a fictional TV show. But he must be from somewhere else.
I do like, after this is probably my favorite part, is when he's like, okay, tell me your health conditions, and then we'll get it covered.
Yeah,
we get some gems.
That was his response to everybody hating the plan. He goes, okay, well, everybody just tell me your medical conditions, and we'll cover those.
In theory, I actually think that's not. It's breaching of trust, but it's not the worst idea.
It's very
really
specific.
isn't.
No, there's merit to it. There's definitely merit to it. So. Everybody obviously hates that idea, though.
It's very illegal and
it's
a breach of trust.
And he goes, well, what if we just do it anonymous? And I think
bad.
That somehow gets people not on board, but that they do it at least. They do it.
And then Kevin actually is real about it. What was it? You said like the anal what?
Yeah, so Dwight just starts listing off, a bunch of these anonymous health issues that people have.
Yeah, Jim and Pam are trolling.
Jim puts a bunch of trolls in there. Pam puts a bunch of trolls in there that make no sense to make Dwight waste his time. But then anal fissures come along. He goes,
yes.
Anal fissures? He's like, come on, guys.
That's not real.
What are we doing? Why are we joking? Kevin, chimes up, says, well, he's like, that is a real thing.
Someone might have it.
Someone might have it.
Someone wrote it down, guys.
And then what really lowers this episode for me, I think, is it's just something I have in my head. Is the scene between him and Meredith in that scene where he mentions an inverted penis and
The whole hysterectomy and the
yeah, the whole
uterus
hysterectomy part.
They bring that up a lot. Too much.
Yeah. Why does a hysterectomy come
it
up?
comes up a lot.
As when I was younger, I'm like, what is that? What's a what's a uterus, bro? Like,
I still don't know.
I don't want to hear about her uterus or her vagina.
She's gross.
She's got it's season 1 and all that. It just doesn't look good. It makes me feel uncomfortable. And so that really brings this episode down for me. I know that's not like a great reason, and it's super subjective, but
More discomfort.
yeah, that's just how I feel about it, and I can't rate it super high because of that.
Like
Just
I said,
because of that scene.
anything without Michael, and he's hiding and cowering in the office, so I feel like that underlying, you're missing him, it lowers it to Dwight's scenes really need to pick it up. So
Yeah.
with that being said, are we thinking C? What are we thinking here?
I think this one for me is probably going to be the lowest of them all, and I think C would make sense.
We'll put it on the low C tier.
Below episode 1 for sure.
Definitely
for sure.
below.
I would like to. I could make an argument for D, but I don't think it's that bad. I think it has enough moments that keeps it away from D.
I agree with that.
So yeah, that's The Office Healthcare, episode 3. On to episode 4, The Alliance. This one, I think personally, has a bit more traction to it than the one before it. I think we got out of the bad episodes for there. I don't even want to say bad, but The Alliance. This one is a very interesting episode.
I forgot a lot about this episode until I rewatched it, and it is hilarious.
It is super good, and I think it has an interesting overarching narrative that somewhat makes sense.
A lot of undertone stuff with Pam.
Yeah,
too.
Michael's worried about the downsizing and how it's kind of affecting the morale of the company, so he wants to have a party.
I like they keep that. They always remind you in the background, like, "Hey, this is a funny, uncomfortable show," but downsizing. It's like,
and it's real. It's like I'm sure like a lot of people have experienced that sort of thing.
Pre-2008 stuff. It's gonna get worse, guys.
It's
gonna get worse.
God damn. It's so amid those rumors of downsizing, Michael ends up he's looking for an idea to have a party for. He's just trying to bring up some kind of idea. So
I wonder how many episodes have a party in it.
God, it feels like half of them.
Like 7 out of 8.
It feels like most of them at this point. That's what I love about this show. It's just so ridiculous. It reminds me of Parks and Recreation in a lot of ways, where it's just like, this is funny and it's grounded somewhat in real life, but it makes these aren't real. Like these are not even depictions of real people.
I've yet to have a party on Office time. I mean Christmas party, but like we could have gone home. Like we could have gone. Like I don't think that counts. Like I had no mandatory parties.
I've actually planned a number of parties at the office.
Yeah, he's the guy.
It's very interesting. They don't go like in the show The Office though.
They're actually good parties. Like he is the whole party planning committee. Like he is solid.
That's what I do, bro. The experience, the employee experience. And so Michael brings together an idea, asks Pam what birthdays are coming up. He needs like an easy reason to have a party, to have something to boost morale. Idea. And there's no birthdays coming up, Pam says, except for Meredith, we don't know how far, but it's not close.
They do say, I think it's like a month and a half or something. It's rough.
Not close enough to have a birthday party. And
unless you're one of those weirdos. I mean, I don't know. I think you're weird if you do half birthdays. I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, absolutely no. That's awful. Birth month, birth year. That's weird. I don't like you if you do those.
Red flag.
Absolutely a red flag. There's a good little bit that happens. We see the beginning of the party planning committee. There's some funny aspects to that I think happen. Phyllis
crazy
drags
how
on.
Important the committee gets as we go into the
series.
series.
There's so many iterations and evolutions of the party planning committee that I think it's cool to see the first time that they actually meet. Angela being a downright bitch.
She's a bitch.
Pam and
we're gonna get to the streamers. I'll
Phyllis.
Go into it.
Phyllis is. We just see like how difficult it is for them to do very menial, simple things in this office.
Phyllis is so good too at it. Every time she's got good ideas, she's trying.
Yeah. But Angela's like this evil that just tears everybody down, and nobody wants to say anything. Yeah. Angela's like, let's pick the streamers. What kind of streamers do we want? And that kind of like brings a halt to the conversation.
The green streamers.
And then Phyllis is like, well, we can go. There is green and blue and yellow, and you could tell she was just gonna start listing colors until
Which I think is
until
funny.
she stopped, and then Pam comes in. Let's do green. We like green. We like green.
Yeah.
Angela then chimes in saying that
No.
green is whorish.
Green is harsh. Which, hold up a hot second here. How is there any basis for a color being whorish? Like red? Maybe?
I would
Pink?
definitely, yeah, red, maybe pink.
But like not really though.
Black.
How?
Whoa.
Hold on a second. Wait, was that
whoa,
racist?
whoa. Yikes. I'm gonna get canceled on
We
that.
got him.
Shit. Delete this. This
We're not cutting that.
Shouldn't have done this. Shouldn't have done this.
Um,
But it's just funny. Then it just kind of shows you how awful Angela is right off the bat. How cruel she is to people. She just likes to take digs at Pam for no reason. She thinks
she's authoritarian, right? Absolutely.
She outright, makes very clear allusions that Pam is a whore, like to her face all the time. Like that, she's like the Office,
Yeah,
like
the engagements.
what are they? Floor mat, the Office mat, because everybody's, she lies under everybody.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's a good joke.
And so it's just messed up, and they're planning that party. They're trying to see what they can do.
We haven't gotten to the main bread and butter, the alliance. Let's get to the alliance.
Get out of here, Dwight. And so during that downsizing as well, Dwight approaches Jim randomly. It feels like, and broaches the idea of them having an alliance together. For what reason, I'm not quite sure. Just so that
what was it?
so that they're not the ones that get laid off if anybody gets laid off.
Honestly, he's kind of stupid for that. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't really remember where Jim's at, but Dwight is undeniably the top salesman.
Yeah,
he's
Dwight-
always the top salesman. They're not gonna downsize him.
Even though they do almost let go of him somehow in the second season,
He commits crimes basically, arrestable offenses.
But I don't think that had anything to do with why Michael was just like, okay, let's get rid of Dwight. I don't think that had anything to do with that.
Fair.
He's just like, I need to fire somebody, and somehow he almost lands on Dwight. It's unbelievable. Him and Jim discuss having an alliance, and Jim, in one of his, they call them the talking head interviews, where they're sitting in the conference room, camera on the face.
Yeah.
So that's how we'll refer to them from here on out.
Sounds right.
That he said that when he was talking to Pam, if you're talking to Dwight and he ever asks you to join an alliance, that your answer must be, absolutely, I do.
They do that in a later season with Pam. It might not be alliance. It might be like a secret or something. Like, because Pam does that too. He's like, oh, Jim told me if Dwight ever comes to you, if like, do you want a secret or something, or do you want alliance, or I don't know what it is. I don't remember what it is. I feel bad I didn't prepare for that, and then she says the same line. Absolutely, I do.
Absolutely,
I do.
The most serious face ever. I definitely remember that. I can't remember everything around it, but yes. And so Jim and Dwight enter into a sort of alliance. An alliance to do what? Not quite sure. It seems like
The purpose is vague.
the purpose is so vague. You're not quite sure what's going on here, but we know that they have.
It was to combat other alliances
Yeah,
forming.
Dwight is
maybe.
worried of other alliances in
Is
the
it-
office forming and taking them out somehow.
I mean, Survivor was blowing up at this time, so
That's
maybe they
fair.
were getting inspiration from that.
That's makes a lot of sense. So that actually probably is spot on. That's like a direct analog to that, because that's voting people off.
You're off the island.
If
off the
Jim
office.
and Dwight are grouped together, they can't get voted off. Because
They're stronger.
They have support from other people, things like that.
I mean, I could totally see Stanley forming an alliance, though. I could totally see that.
So Jim and Pam just kind of take this ball and just run with it. They just that's their part of the show. They just like to fuck with Dwight a lot. Jim, it's already been established he likes to fuck with Dwight. So they just keep leaning into that the whole time. They like messing with Dwight. They like screwing with him and making him, just making his life harder. So they just keep leaning into this, making him worry that there's other alliances working against them. At one point, they're talking, and Jim says that a couple of the other alliances are actually meeting in the warehouse to conspire against them. And so that prompts Dwight to say, "Hey, we should hide down there."
Yeah.
Oh, and then actually Dwight knows a spot to hide in the warehouse.
I know
because
exactly what to do.
Super normal thing to.
It's a very Dwight thing, I feel like.
He's like, I know exactly a spot where I can hide and listen to people. in the conversations that they're having.
Is that where they later on, when him and Angela are having sex, because they have that sliding door? Isn't
That's
that
what
in the
I-
warehouse?
That's what I thought about, but no, it's like
Where is that?
that is in the warehouse, but where he ends up hiding in this episode is not that spot.
Well, he's
which
just
is
in a
funny.
box in the
He's
middle of
just
the floor.
yeah, he's just in a box in the middle. So that was his genius idea.
And Jim is just more than happy to seal that box up. He's taping it up. He's pumped.
He put extra tape on there. He could not be more excited to trap Dwight in a box, and
He
me
does.
too.
I'll give Jim respect on this one. He does at least say like, "How are you gonna breathe?" Whatever. He's like, "Oh, I've got Dwight's like I got the holes in there or whatever. I got cut holes."
He does try not to kill him, so I will give him that, because given later seasons and things like that, that's not a given. Pam eventually, Jim and Pam are still working on this. Pam comes down, acts like she's having a conversation with somebody alliance wise.
Oh,
Dwight's
real quick.
overhearing it.
Before that, I just remembered this. He was, he's schmoozing with Pam up at reception, and then he's literally talking about the Alliance, and Dwight's like, don't talk about the Alliance with people, and he's just sitting at his desk, right by where Jim's desk is, close to reception. He's like, oh, no, I wasn't talking about the Alliance. I'm just trying to get info from the receptionist, like she's gonna know stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then so that kind of sets it up for Pam to be going down to the warehouse, and then you go ahead with that.
Yeah, it sets up Pam as someone who's informed in the office and connected with all these other alliances. Pam then goes downstairs. She fakes a phone call with somebody talking about alliance type deals. Dwight is just listening in like a foot behind her, making all the noise in the world on this box.
Yeah, she's right next to the box.
She's right next to the box. He ends up tipping over the box.
He's
She
cutting
just
a hole
runs.
through it or something.
He somehow thinks his cover's not blown. He's cutting a hole in it while she's speaking a foot away from him.
I mean, she's still talking, so that's why I guess he believes. But then she can't hold on. She can't hold on when he falls over and tips it over.
There's a couple good jokes mixed in between there. When you find out that Michael donated to Oscar's walkathon,
The charity.
but he doesn't understand,
It's per
that
mile.
you have to pay. You're donating per mile. He thought he was just like $50.
It was $25.
$25,
and then I remember he's asking him, he's like, how many miles did he go? It was like 25 or 27, and then $25. Actually, I'm gonna calculate. Go ahead. I'm gonna calculate that right quick.
Yeah, he's worried once he has a conversation with Jim, and Jim is like, Jim does like $1 or $2 per mile. And
$3,
he's like,
I think.
He's like, I don't even know how you're gonna afford that, Mike. And that's
It's not too bad actually. I mean, early 2000s. It's $625. We'll say 25 to 25 miles. I mean,
Given
I don't want to
Michael's-
give you that, but
given Michael's financial situation, he's not. That's
we
probably,
do find out he gets paid barely more than like Stanley or any
Yeah,
of them.
so he can't be spending $625 on something like that for sure. And he tries to take back his donation from Oscar.
Oscar's just
it's just a
so upset.
It's just a classic Michael's. He's just being a dickhead. But it's like it's reasonable that he just fucked up, but he was trying to. It's classic Michael. He's trying to be. His heart's in the right place.
He's not able to back out, I don't think.
No, he's not.
He
has
doesn't
to
let
pay.
him.
He has to pay. Absolutely. And so he's like hoping that this kid doesn't walk as much miles.
I'm a little surprised they didn't lean into that. He's got like a baseball bat going after him or something.
Yeah, it's like a Tanya Harding situation.
Yeah.
Where he just breaks his kid's knee on mile 1, dude. That would be so messed up. And so after that, then the actual party happens. Our first in-office party, super awkward. Everybody's waiting for a surprise for Meredith to come in.
Yep.
She walks
Angela
in
walks
with
in with
she
her.
walks in with Angela. They say surprise. Meredith doesn't even know it's for her. Thinks it's for Angela because it's not close to her birthday.
Surprise.
Yeah.
No, surprise for you.
And there's a lot of cringy jokes at the party.
The card, what Michael writes in the card.
Oh my god.
Because he's just like, I forgot what was it, Pam was in the office like, oh, what do I put? Meredith, you're a great employee, and you're a lovely person, and you're really great. And I would never put that there. Who would do that? That's lame. And Pam's like, what?
Why wouldn't you say that? Why? She's like, you wouldn't want to say that on to your employee, I guess. Then what he ends up putting on the card, because everybody put a specific message for her.
Yeah.
What he ends up putting is, it's a downsizing joke. Let me remember it. He goes, it's your birthday. Let's hope that the only downsizing that happens is your age.
It's amazing because it's awful in two ways.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's got a lot of layers to it. Awful because they're someone's likely to lose their job soon due to downsizing.
And you call him old.
And she just called this lady old. She's old, so I get it, but also not, very uncouth, right? So
Not very professional of a manager.
that it kind of ends in a lot of cringe. I'd say it ends in a lot of cringe.
I like
There's
that.
cringy jokes.
I like that. What was he talking like? Toby. I think it's actually the temp Ryan's birthday. He's like,
Yeah.
Oh, I could say something. It's like, no, please don't.
Yeah, Ryan's like, nope, I don't want to be the center of attention.
I don't
for
blame him.
Michael. And no, it makes total sense. Ryan in this first 2 seasons are great, where Michael is just so
He has
creepy.
no power over. He's just nothing.
Michael just wants to be his friend, and he's like, I don't.
There's a vague sexual undertone, which
Yeah.
they really crank up later on too.
He's like, I'm like 22, and I don't want to be your friend. He's free. And then Jim has a very weird moment with Roy, where he's like he's like way too close to Pam, and they're like laughing about the alliance. They just got Dwight with a pretty good joke, and
Yep.
they messed him up, and he's like, they're almost like tickling each other.
He's leaning in.
It's if I saw my girlfriend with with that, I'd be a little bit. I would also have something to say. Roy comes up, gets in Jim's face.
He's coming in hot.
Jim is babbling, trying to explain himself to Roy, and it's just not.
He sells out the alliance, and then I love Dwight for this though. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Yeah. He goes, no, it's an alliance. No, we were just talking about the alliance. We were messing with Dwight. Right, Dwight. And he's like, I have no idea what he's talking.
Even if
about.
Dwight confirmed it, it would still make no sense to me walking in on that. Like, what does that give you the right to be touching on my girl's shoulder and being like an inch from her face? Like, what are you doing?
I would have just said, sorry, man. There was a pretty funny joke with Dwight. We're messing with Dwight, and I got a little, yeah.
I was telling her a secret about that guy over there, and it got to be quiet. He fumbled it really bad.
It made it very obvious he wants to bang your girlfriend for sure.
He wants Pam.
Your fiance is what I should say. So,
Bam.
there is actually a lot in this episode now that we list it all out.
It's deep. But where are we gonna put it? What are we doing?
So this one I think is clearly a step above healthcare in The Office in American Workplace. The pilot is clearly above, but I think it's definitely below.
It's not A tier.
I can't put it in A tier. I think B tier is a perfect spot for it. I think B tier is for
a good B
perfect
tier,
spot for it. It's not as good as Diversity Day, but it's clearly a step above the other 2 episodes we've already ranked.
I agree. It's throughout. It's got more high points. You stay engaged for sure. And speaking of high points, we are going to the stratosphere. Possibly some people's, I don't know, I'll dare say favorite episode. It's high up on a lot of tier lists. Basketball.
Our friend Johnny's favorite episode of the series.
Yes, our good friend Johnny, he loves this episode.
I think he rewatches it every couple weeks.
Daily, I think, actually.
He might at this point. It's only 20 minutes, so you knock that out really quickly. But basketball is a super interesting episode. It's pretty interesting, like departure from what the other episodes have been to this point. They're changing up the location a little bit, changing up what they're not just sitting in the office doing an office thing.
You get some more characters. You get the warehouse.
Yes. So like the premise is, I guess, that somebody needs to work on the weekend. Whether it be the warehouse people or the office people. And
what do you mean, office people?
Whoa,
people? What are you talking about?
Don't want to cast aspersions. I'm an office person, so it actually is
same.
So.
I mean, we get Daryl. I really like Daryl as a character. He just shuts Mike up so many times, puts him in his place.
He's pretty
good guy.
Later on, I have some issues with him when he's a little bit more bumbling and stupid. And
I agree.
He kind of turns into it. His character evolves in a lot of different ways, kind of randomly. I feel like over the series, but he's pretty funny early on. He's just like he doesn't give any shits, and he just says what's on his mind, and he's usually just pretty flippant about everything. I think he just shuts down Michael.
Agreed.
I don't know why they have a basketball set up down there, but they find out in the warehouse that they have basketball court set up, 2 hoops down there, and they use that as the premise to decide who's going to have to work the weekend, whether it be the upstairs crew in the office or it be the downstairs crew in the warehouse. And so they say like, okay, let's form teams and we'll play a game, and that'll help us decide who
that's
gets
the stakes.
That's the stakes. Who gets to work on the weekend? You have to win the basketball game.
And of course, Michael's talking mad smack, mad trash talk.
As he would.
Cannot back it up for shit.
In an office with very middle-aged, a lot of overweight, no one very young. He's very confident in himself.
No one very young. He's got Jim. He's got Ryan. They're not bad.
That's about it.
Ratio.
And then but then on the other side you got Roy, you have Daryl,
Yeah, name some warehouse workers for me, Cole.
you have Midge. Midge is the woman, I think.
I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure her
she
name's
does
Midge.
play.
She wears a cutoff T-shirt, and they often refer to her as a man, I think. So I think there's some.
Are you
cred.
assuming that she is a woman?
I can't remember the one guy's name, but he's played by the comedian Patrice O'Neal.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
He's the other guy, the one guy that I think he dates Kelly. No, he doesn't date Kelly, but
no.
When they're doing like that weird like auction thing.
Oh.
She was talking.
Yeah.
They were talking back and forth. I think I can't remember his name, but so they have to like then pick their teams, and Michael is in the office looking he's obviously the leader of the team, picking who's going to be on his team, and he goes right for the stereotypical racist options. First pick Stanley. Right for Stanley.
And I know Phyllis is just like, oh, I played when I was a girl. I was like really good. He's like, oh no.
Shuts her down right away. 'Cause she's
She got the 3-pointers.
Mm-hmm. She's actually got it going on. You wouldn't know until you actually saw her play.
I'd need the proof.
He picks, obviously, he picks who you would think to pick. He picks Stanley right off the bat.
Simping for Ryan.
He wants Ryan on his team, which makes sense. He's younger. He picks Jim.
I think Dwight needs convincing.
He needs some convincing on Dwight because I think it's like his only other option at that point. And then Michael against those warehouse people plus one other person, and it's actually a pretty heated contest.
It's pretty even. It's relatively even
because you have actual good players on the other team. It actually seems like a solid group of people, and then on the office side you have like Jim and Dwight.
Yeah.
And
Ryan doesn't do much of anything. That's Ryan in most of the first seasons. He just kind of keeps a low profile.
Yeah, he really is just on the outside. He's trying not to like make any waves. He's not trying to be impressive. He's not trying to be a loser either. He just doesn't want to be seen pretty much. Especially by Michael.
I like the one quote. God knows what it's from, but from American Dad with Avery Bull. He's talking to Stan, and Stan's like, "But what I didn't get the promotion for? It's like I didn't make waves." And he's like, "That's exactly right. You didn't make waves. Waves are fun. People like waves." And I'm like, I mean, sometimes, maybe. I'm like, maybe. I just love Avery. But I digress.
That's funny. They end up, it doesn't happen until halfway between the episode. They take a little bit of time, picking the teams and things like that. But then the game starts. Michael comes down and he's talking mad shit. He's super cocky.
He's wearing like in his Slavic outfit looking.
Yeah, he looked like he's wearing the right gear, but it looks so out of place on him. Wearing the cutoff T-shirt and everything like that. The whole office comes down to watch it.
Yep.
They're all. It's a pretty contested game.
Dwight's got the face mask thing going on.
Dwight literally has the LeBron face mask. He did play pretty well. But the best part, cut right to it, is Stanley dribbling in this.
The arm being out. He's
Michael,
in like a coat.
Yeah, Michael thinks that he is his ringer, his ace in the hole. He's got a black guy on his team. Like, we're good. But obviously he's like a 60-year-old man, and he's very overweight. And you can tell when he goes to dribble the basketball that he maybe has never played basketball in his life.
Yep.
Based off of how that man dribbles the ball. He's got his one arm down, dribbling, but then he's hunched over, and his other arm is like shooting straight back.
I love that he's got like that windbreaker
degrees.
on, like, and it looks like it's straight out of the '80s or something. It's if you don't remember it, I would encourage you to look at what he's wearing.
And he certainly doesn't need it because that man,
he's sweating.
He will get he got sweaty in like probably the first time he went. He got
sweaty going down the warehouse stairs.
He should not have needed it. He should not have needed that windbreaker. We're going through that then. They're just going back and forth. Jim and Roy are having a battle because they're seemingly
Jim is balling out.
They're the best players on their team. Pam's front and center,
and
they got to show out. Jim's kind of cooking. He's kind of got a Kevin Durant type vibe to him. He's just kind of draining shots. He's smooth with it. He's way too smooth.
Definitely trying too hard.
He's trying way too hard, and he's definitely impressing Pam, though. He steals it off of Roy, makes a basket. She has a little smirk on her face.
Pam does not give a shit when Roy does good, but when Jim
does
good...
And you're like, okay, there's, they get a little bit testy between each other, Jim and Roy. It gets a little bit...
Scrapping.
They're like, oh, they're scrapping. But I think at the end of the day, Jim definitely gets the best of Roy. Michael,
for sure.
Awful.
Calling fouls everywhere.
Calling fouls, missing shots. Dwight makes a shot. he's mad that Dwight didn't pass to him because he was open, even though Dwight makes a shot.
Mike takes the foul shot off a BS foul, and then he just misses the entire backboard
He throws it right over the backboard, which is very hard to do.
I think didn't someone do that one time in one of our games? Someone missed the whole thing. It might not have been a free throw, but it was a very valid, like, within the 3-point line.
I wish I could lie and say that I haven't done that, but I definitely have. It might have been me.
Oh, I've been below before. I've not even gotten to net level. It's just been a miss. Usually, like, I'm moving and I tripped or I did something or it slipped and it's bad. I am very white when it comes to basketball. I can't do anything.
One time, our friend Tanner, this is even worse than shooting it over somehow. I think is he banked in a 3 from the corner.
Okay.
Just think about that. Think about the angle that you're on. How can you possibly bank in a 3, like off the backboard?
I've done it.
From the corner.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it. Yeah, I've done it.
Unbelievable. It's like you have to shoot so far off. It's so far.
I am trying to do it though. I will admit.
He was not. He was trying to switch that thing.
I will admit.
And so yeah, I guess that was Michael. He was that. He's hitting. He's going over. He's going inside. He's not even.
It doesn't. He calls the game too, doesn't he? He's just like, you know what? Fuck this. Warehouse has to work, or who has to work?
That's true. Yeah, he just entered. Yeah, no warehouse. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm the boss.
Yeah,
that's rough.
He's pretty messed up. He's pretty messed up when it comes to that, like, because he is actually selfish a lot of times too. So
yeah. Do you have anything else on this one?
No, that one's about it. I'd say it's just a pretty good basketball game, back and forth. There's a lot of funny moments in between it, but it's just a great episode, front to back. You know, I think
it is a top tier.
Yeah.
Is it S tier? Is it A tier?
I think we've shown our hand that it's definitely the best episode so far, but the question is whether it's top of A or we bring it into S. And I would say, given this season, this is an S tier episode.
I would fully agree with you. It's not too hard for me.
This is our standard. This is our standard for the season.
This is a creme de la creme. It's best episode of the series for sure. Or excuse me, the season.
What are you, Johnny?
Yeah, no, I'm not no Johnny, man.
I hope not. And so that's what we'd say. Basketball, clearly the S tier.
That's the standard
of this, and we only have one more episode to rank here.
We have one more. It's not a super eventful episode. It's a bit more tame.
Interesting one to end the season out on. Interesting.
I like it because it takes Jim. It's like, oh, are you just gonna simp over this engaged woman the entire time, or are you gonna just try going out there?
Because you are wondering about that dynamic. You're like, okay, is he just like, is this all he's going for? He's clearly into Pam, but then bring up the premise of this episode. What starts this?
Yeah, then we get. It's so good when it starts. I love Michael every time he's pursuing a woman. Yeah. Okay, this is bad. I see myself in a lot of what Michael does sometimes, as far as this goes, because he's like,
he's relatable. But
I don't. He's like,
it depends on what you relate to, I guess. You know?
Nothing illegal. So this one, it starts off. Michael is coming out. Pam's like, oh, we got a salesperson. He's like, we don't do like internal sales in the office, and I'm like, yeah, that seems pretty standard. It's kind of schemy, and then he sees her. It's a real cute young lady selling purses. He's like, oh, come in. Yeah, could you get up, sell?
We
get
can
the
make
conference
an exception for this one.
Yeah, let's get in here. And then basically from there, it's everyone in the office gawking at this cute girl. And that's what it is.
Yeah, it is actually very weird. It is actually kind of creepy now that I'm thinking about it. Like, everybody is keened in on this, and I'm just like, it is just an attractive woman. Like, chill out.
I mean, she is attractive, but
it is Amy Adams.
I mean, they are just absolutely on the floor. Like, have you not seen a hot woman before?
Exactly. Like, if she was a normal woman, she probably would have left within 20 minutes of being there.
I thought you were going to say 20 seconds.
20, maybe.
Michael Scott comes out.
The second she meets Michael, she's out of there.
But yeah, she posts up in the conference room, and then essentially Michael's hyping himself up, and he's already marrying this woman. He's already locked in. He's got her down. He's talking to Dwight about it.
Classic Mike.
Always. So they all kind of go in for her, and then Dwight. Does Jim egg Dwight on? I think Jim eggs Dwight
absolutely, yes, absolutely, because he doesn't want to appear too interested in other chicks around Pam. He kind of wants to leave that option open, but then he also kind of wants to set Dwight up for some failure.
Hold on a second here. We were talking before this video a little bit about, and I think actually earlier too, we were talking about how Angela and Dwight, when that actually started. Dwight did go for her technically.
He did, and that's a good point. Is like,
because he's in there.
because there is other points where he's going for other chicks and he's still kind of with Angela. Like, he doesn't.
Is it a dominance thing? Because that's definitely what Dwight's about.
He's playing the field a little bit. He's kind of a player. He's kind of a player, Dwight. He doesn't mess around.
I love how they make the ladies just super attracted to Dwight in every way. It's amazing, but
maybe
we'll
they're
get
not.
to that.
Maybe they're not exclusive at this point.
Yeah, it's not super serious yet, but I do love that when he's in there and Jim's narrating what he's saying, and then he takes the person, starts like bashing it, it's whipping it on the
and he's
floor.
like, oh god, he's like, what is
She's
he doing?
so uncomfortable.
It's just creepy, man. It's just that's no riz on that. That's how I am with girls usually as well. We
can relate. I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got Michael trying to rizz her up throughout the whole thing, getting her coffee and stuff, and eventually Pam's like, hey, Jim, you should totally go for her. It's like, oh, that doesn't hurt
and then
a lot.
And then Jim wants to kill himself. Yeah.
But then he does. I respect the guy. It's like, okay, dude, don't just be alone waiting for this. Like, take some action. She is attractive. Goes in, Michael was going to give her the ride home because her ride bailed. And then, thank God, Jim does do this. Probably saved her from maybe some SA or something worse. And eventually gets the ride home. And then, he rizzes her up in there, and then they're walking out, and then I love how up until the last second they're walking out the night in the parking lot, and then Michael's like on the left or something, and then she's with Jim taking her like suitcase of purses. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go with Jim actually. Thank you so much though.
Mm-hmm. And it's a classic Michael moment where you're gonna see this type of moment like 40 times, where he has to play off this awful moment that he's just created for himself. Super awkward, super cringy, embarrassing, but he just has to kind of like play it off like it's nothing. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, of course.
They cleaned out. He even cleaned out the car with Ryan earlier.
Yeah,
he's like sitting on what he's gonna keep.
Oh, God.
Wasn't there like an Arctic Gatorade or something? He's like, what is it? Blue isn't a flavor. He's like, Arctic Blast
blue.
or something. He's like, keep it. And he's like talking about like the what is it, like the fish taco or fish something or whatever, filet of fish is or whatever. It's like,
yes, the
he's like, oh, that's months worth. He's like, still, that is ridiculous.
And so yeah, he was already ready to date this girl and marry her and bring her back.
I'm that guy. We all fall in love with the cashier, and that's how it goes.
I will want to say, you mentioned that about Jim, actually like going out there and doing it. I now that you said that, I kind of thought of it like, I feel like he probably did it from like a more of a sad place where you're just like, oh, well, Pam wants me to do it. It's clearly not.
It's not happening.
Clearly not that into me. I might as well do it. Like, that's how I would have,
Pam is very hot and cold. I would definitely be where Jim is like, oh yeah, she's subtly telling me she's into me. Oh no, wait, she's not into me.
In a little bit of an annoying way, if like you can contextualize this, like just looking at this season as a whole and then looking at it further on, like it is kind of annoying. I would say like. She puts on heavy signals towards him.
And that's why I do like it. It's very real to life. Because I feel like that happens with everybody,
That's true.
Like, you're not even reading it wrong. Like, no, you read that correctly. I think that's very warm, like, emotions, like, output. But then, no.
And then it is like, well, I won't go too deep, but that makes so much sense when you get into the season finale of season 3. It's like that's just that moment, like, just drawn out even more, I think, and like it like all that setup from before where she's kind of hot and cold, giving him a lot of mixed messages, but a lot of the messages are very hot, sometimes very cold. So like that's where you start to see a lot of that stuff, and I think you just feel bad for Jim. You feel bad. For Jim. You don't see how like shitty Roy is in this season, but you'll be like,
and that's why it's so real too. Yeah. That's why it's so real. Like the best ones are with the assholes, my guy. And I don't know, am I cringe like alpha internet crap or something? Like it a lot of times that happens, and it's not from a bad place. It's like I'm sorry for you. Like you don't have to put up with this.
And it makes Jim, it gives you like somebody very easy to root for.
Such a good guy.
You're like well, yeah, he should be the one with her. Like they clearly have so much chemistry. They clearly like each other. Yeah. She's just with this guy because she is not stuck, but she's just like, well, I made this decision. I can't go back.
Very weird. Yeah,
I can't go back on it now, and so that's just a piece of contextualization that I look at now that you said that. Looking at the season as a whole, that's like very interesting going forward into the next season, and especially the 3rd and 4th season. I think when things actually start to
for sure
get up with them. So
where are we gonna put it? With all that being said, I think
girl. in terms of naming, that's an S tier name.
That is a great name.
Just called Hot Girl. I think that's pretty hilarious. But so if I'm gonna say, it's not close to basketball. It's not close to Diversity Day.
No, it doesn't even compare.
Where you have it looks, it's not.
It's B tier for me.
It's better than Healthcare and it's better than The Pilot.
Is it better than Alliance? I say no. I
concur. I concur.
It's not there. It doesn't have as many moments. It's, people go and look at the purses. It's a little dull. I mean, you get a lot of good Pam stuff. You get Jim introduced to the dating world, but that's about it.
Even I think overall it wasn't a bad episode. It's a weak finale, but like I don't even know. Like I still feel like the high points in some of the episodes, like some of the best jokes in like Healthcare might have been better than the best jokes in Hot Girl.
Absolutely.
But I think this is just doesn't have a lot of those low points.
Overarching, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, look at this.
Yeah,
so,
that was pretty solid. That went way longer than I thought it would be.
Holy shit.
Should have been a stream. But yeah,
honestly,
if you guys like this, like, subscribe, comment what episodes are your favorites, and we will definitely be back for a part 2.
Yeah. Let us know if there's anything about our list that you would change. So.
All right, guys. Until next time. Peace.
Take care.